Question number 10, the Honourable Maryan Street.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Tertiary Education and asks what advice has he received on those who are likely to be disadvantaged by recently announced policies regarding tertiary education with respect to student loans, allowances and course fees.
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, I have received a range of advice on a number of possible changes we're looking at making to tertiary policy. For example, the idea of introducing a stand-down period for new permanent residents and Australians before they can access a student loan has been the subject of advice that would obviously have an impact on the number of Australians and new permanent residents that will access student loans. It would also bring student loans into line with other government support packages and actually more into line with what New Zealanders experience in Australia.
The Honourable Maryan Street.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister, what effect will an increase of 2.5% in GST and an increase in fees have on the government's student loan liability? And does he think these increases will make it easier or harder for people to access tertiary education?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, the proposed increase in GST, should it occur, would be accompanied by a compensatory increase in student allowances. But of course fees increase every year, and the previous government had a maximum fee increase of 5% of most courses and in tertiary education, and they have increased many of them on that basis for many years.
The Honourable Maryan Street.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, how does he think part-time students will be affected by the proposed time limit on access to student loans, and how does this fit with the government's agenda for growth in the New Zealand economy?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, I can inform the member that the effect on part-time students will be proportionate to the impact on full-time students. In other words, we wouldn't be expecting part-time students to progress through their academic education to the same extent that we would expect full-time students to do so.
The Honourable Maryan Street.
Further to the Minister, how will increased fees for the more expensive tertiary courses such as medicine encourage students to choose those programs, and what effect will the increased fees have on the diversity and the supply of these highly qualified New Zealanders, such as doctors, in the future?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, I think that question assumes that there would be a sizable increase in fees, and I think that's very premature. But I would point out that the effect of stopping increases on expensive to provide courses and allowing increases to occur on courses that are less expensive has the impact of making the less expensive to provide courses subsidise the more expensive courses, which is hardly fair to those that are taking those courses. I would also point out that the average time taken to pay off a student loan by a doctor in this country is 4 years, which is considerably less than many other occupations once qualified.
Question number 11, Chester Borrows.